All right, everybody. This is another episode of the Teed Up podcast. We're excited. We're excited for this one. We have a celebrity appearance. Somebody, I don't shake your head, Patty. It's a true celebrity, Patty Moe. You recognize him from Twitter. You recognize him from Karma Lounge. Where else? Yeah, we don't want to. That went away before COVID, unfortunately.
No, well, the show went away, but the bar closed sometime in.
The bar's closed.
Yeah. Sometime in like last summer, I want to say. I wasn't keeping track of it, but yeah, they I don't think. Well, not what I mean is I don't think they did a GoFundMe or anything. I think they just shut down eventually.
But they did close due to COVID.
Well, yeah, because I mean that's like the last place that's going to reopen is the hookah bar. You know, like that's not really.
I don't. They weren't like crushing it. Well, I guess they kind of were.
Yeah. On the weekends they were. I mean, I don't know what during the week was like, but I mean, on the weekends they had there was like a club scene there, like the opposite of like a stand up show. Like we used to get chased out of there by like promoter nights down in the basement.
Right. I had a friend who like came to New York and like hit me up, and she was like, "Hey, we're going to this place called Karma Lounge." And I'm like, "What?" Like, for what? She's like, "I don't know, just to hang." I'm like, "Okay." Are they doing a stand-up show there? She's like, "No, never go if that was happening."
Yeah, it's cooler. There's cooler people than us that I guess thought it was a cool spot. But yeah, it's just not a sustainable. And it's too bad because they if they close, then that's one less place that you can smoke cigarettes inside. Because that was like they were like one of the last dozen places that have been open from before the smoking ban, which is what 2002 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they derived enough income from tobacco sales, I guess, that they were able to get grandfathered in. So yeah, that's a sad loss for a certain type of person, I guess.
Definitely there's an intersection with stand-up with people that want to smoke in basements.
Well, that's the thing. When we used to promote the show, like I would ask people, and that would be something I would like point out in case people didn't know Karma, like other comics and stuff, and I feel like we were like 5 years too late for that to be like a selling point, because it was like most people like, a lot of people like don't smoke, so and don't want to be around smoke. Understandably, I mean, I don't particularly want to. I had to for, if I get lung cancer from having hosted that stupid show, I'm going to be so mad because I do not smoke and have never smoked. But like people would be like, "Oh, yeah, no, I'd love to, but I don't want to be around the smoking." It's so it's the opposite of a draw. Okay,
right.
I thought it was gonna be like a cool thing.
In like the late 80s, early 90s, that would have been like the hot show.
Yeah, even like the late 90s, early 2000s, I think it was just like a little, it was like maybe before 2010. I don't know when the taste changed, but yeah. Like I'm trying to think who, like one would be like Josh Gondelman. He was like, "Yeah, I can't be around the smoke." Like, we asked him a couple times, and I was like, "Fair enough. That's I don't blame you."
It's wild to like think of how like stand up, because I remember when I first started stand up, and I was never like a hard partier. I didn't like, that wasn't my thing, but there was like stand up comedy had like this aura of like that, like nightlife, like darkness, and like like drinking and drugging. But like my time in New York City stand-up comedy was very much, most of the people were sober. Cigarettes were kind of like here and there, but it was mostly like more of like an athletic approach to stand-up comedy.
Yeah. And a lot of those people, a lot of the people that were sober because they spent a few years in the stand-up scene being a disaster or whatever, and needed to tighten it up. And funnily enough, a lot of those people, sort of took off more after they cleaned up their act a little bit, I guess. Yeah. So who knows who they, I mean, I think we managed to find the people that were still going out and stuff, none of whom are famous or anything. But it's there if you want it. But yeah, you're right. It is kind of you expect and there are certainly are people, but you expect kind of like a dirtbag scene just based on what's in your head from what stand-up is. And that was not the case for sure. But anyway, RIP to Karma Lounge. Sad.
RIP. And the dirtbags in my life are non-stand-up. All the dirtbags are people that are outside of the world of stand-up comedy. So you're crushing it, stand-up. But yeah, it's Patty Moe. We met probably within hours of my arrival. You got into New York, what was it, like a little bit before me, I would say.
You think?
Like
I was,
2013?
yeah, I want to say I can tell you when, because it was just in January. I just don't remember what year. It was either 13 or 4. I think I started January 13.
That's when you first started.
Sorry, January 14 was my first, like, I think it was like my first like show. Because I have a little calendar thing just because now I know I'm 7 years in, meaning I'm behind officially. I didn't get JFL or whatever. So that's the
yeah. I stopped counting. That's what you just stopped counting.
Yeah.
But is that when you first started stand up? Like first time was
first time I ever. I mean, so Joe Garrix, who who is a comic and is a guy who is incredibly good at promoting stuff in a way that like I could never even hope to do. Like because he does all his stuff like not on the computer. Like all his promotion is like getting to people like in a way that like
word of mouth
actually makes them show up, and it's not like posting something on Twitter or whatever, and then people are like, "Oh, cool," and then no one ever goes. So he and I went to the same college, went to the same high school, but 4 years apart, so we didn't really know each other.
Who's older? You or Joe? I'm gonna guess
he's
Joe.
He's older, yeah. And I met him like my freshman year of college. We had like lunch. He was like still working for a year after college at Georgetown at something, and he and I and a buddy of mine, we like sat down and had lunch and kind of like, hey, how's everything going type thing. And then I didn't see him again until after I graduated, like here in the city, because he used to run the basketball game watch stuff. So we would like go to the bar and watch the games. And so he was like, he asked me if I wanted to do it. He was like, you're pretty funny on Facebook or whatever, whatever the thing was.
The medium at the time.
Because he was also really good at finding people to try stuff and at his shows, whether, and that's beneficial for promoting shows because, as you know, a lot of people will show up if somebody says they're doing stand up for the first time.
Yeah.
They can get all their friends, and then eventually your friends stop giving a shit and don't come anymore.
Yeah.
He was good at getting
and
then
your family, and then your loved ones. It all goes downhill.
Right. And nobody comes to your like birthday show or you know what I mean? Like it's
or
that's
birthday.
How
people don't text you on your birthdays and you've chosen this life over them. It's a dark path. I get why people drank and then got sober. It makes a lot of sense.
That's how you're officially like, I'm officially a comic, is that nobody comes to even when I say it's my birthday, just come sit here for 2 hours. No one will do that. But so he got me in. And so the first time he booked me on the Thursday show at Revision, which was another bar that I don't know if that's still around or not, but that place was only open 2 nighs a week, like 5 years ago, and weirdly could not have been making money.
Yeah. The weirdest hours of all time.
But it was like a place in the East Village. But before that, I wanted to I started writing my like 5-minute thing. Like I thought I was like going on, Fallon or whatever. And he said, do you want to like go to a mic? Because I didn't really know what like most people, when they hear open mic, they think it's like a show. But like, as we know in New York, an open mic is a bunch of comics looking at their phones and not like that's like a different thing. Everywhere else, if you go to a mic, it would be like the equivalent of like a great show here. I feel like it's a very different type of thing. But so he asked me, and the first time I ever did stand up at all was at Karma on like one of those Wednesday mics. And I can't remember who was there or who wasn't there, but I started going to that every week, and that's definitely how we met, was at that.
Right.
And then not too long after that, I did the Friday Karma show, and then started kind of helping to promote that. And then when Joe
staged a coup to whoever
he moved out of the city, he couldn't do it anymore, so he passed it down.
Overtook Joe's place at Karma, and took
he passed
it
down. And then we ran it into the ground. Me and Eli Uden and Pete Matino, a couple other people over the years. But no, I mean, it's it was time for it to end. I think because it was just it was sort of pulling teeth for everyone involved. And then the bar is now gone, so I guess that officially makes it over. So so
it's the final chapter. It's closed.
Yeah. As a way of summing it up, we had our last show, which it was fun. We had a lot of people come out and stuff. Mostly comics, because real people don't give a shit anymore. But it was fun. And we get there, and the mic had been stolen. They had a mic there, and so we had to borrow the mic from the people that had the show before, who always used to run over, and we had kind of like a pseudo contentious thing with. Maybe it was mostly one-sided.
I remember that.
So then we had to like find the guy after the show. He was at like a nearby bar, and like give him the mic back, kind of as so it was like fitting that like we took the picture of the stage, which is like a few boards and like a mic and like a weird red curtain behind it. There was no mic in the mic stand because that was sort of the fitting way.
That's crazy. Somebody stole a mic from Karma Lounge.
It kind of happened all the time, I guess. Dave, who's a great dude, who was the manager, and really put up with a lot, in terms of like us not making the money. I mean, we used to cover the bartenders, what he's expected in tips or what, kind of, there's sort of like a promised amount of money you're supposed to make if you're going to do a shift of bartending or whatever. So we used to have to cover that, and that was fine. I mean, I'm willing to pay, again, it's the best business proposition in the world to pay to run a show. Right. But Dave was a great guy. He really liked comedy. He liked kind of hanging out. So he's like exactly who you want to be running a place like that, because if it's a profit motive, you're fucked. You're never going to make any money doing that kind of thing. And you're going to get kicked out, and they'll keep looking for a show that will make money. And there are very few of those that exist for, for what they would want. But he would just say like, yeah, someone stole the cord. I don't know what's going, like they don't know. And then sometimes it would be locked up when we get there. So I'd have to like get him to unlock it because we don't have keys to any of the stuff, or the board would be locked up and they have like a panel thing that would go down over it. So it was it was a classic time. I did that for what? That was like 7 years, I guess, 6 years.
Yeah. So, that's what when I talk to people from outside of the city, comics or like just my friends about my time in New York City, like because their opinion or what they imagined my life was like when I was doing stand-up in New York couldn't have been more like the polar opposite of what I actually lived. Like they're like, oh my God, you're doing stand-up in New York City in Manhattan? That's crazy. But most of the time it was just like trying to find a mic cord in like a back dark room somewhere and nobody was at the show. Like it's just the different, like what was actually happening, but compared to what people expected, like what they thought we were doing is could be more different.
And it's like, it's fun, and it's like a lot of established comics will say stuff like, oh man, I missed this, or whatever. And it's like a weird kind of like compliment that's also sort of an insult without meaning to be, because I miss these days, man, and it's like, well, okay, I bet you don't miss like being successful, and I bet you wouldn't trade it necessarily, but I like the hanging out stuff and and I don't care about performing for nobody. The only thing I cared about was we would be promoting the show and we'd book people, and then I'd just get embarrassed. It's like, there's two people here. Yeah. One of them is a guy who's like asleep from the last show. But
that was what was crazy, because I remember talking to you, because you over time, when I first met you, you had this like pretty big, you had the biggest Twitter following of anybody I knew. And it was like probably 20,000 people. And then over time, it's like just grown. But then you would always complain about that didn't translate into people coming out to Karma. Why do you think that is? And then also what like really kicked you into gear where your following grew like exponentially?
So as far as the translating into real life stuff, I mean, anybody who like tries to promote anything they worked on will tell you that like dumb jokes versus like people have like a spidey sense for when something is like asking them to do something or like, trying to promote something, and they'll just avoid it entirely. Like they won't like, so you'll get like, the like two faves on something that, like that, like is about like, oh, I worked really hard on this, and it's like, nope, whatever.
Right.
So there's that, but it's also just like, I mean, most of the people that, I don't know where everyone lives who would like, follow the account or whatever, but like, they don't live in New York, or that, and people are busy or whatever, but it's just like, it's not a relationship that's really, or at least the way that I've, I mean, I'm sure for other people, maybe with huge people that have bigger followings than me, or like more, like engaged people or something. I don't know. They've primed them better or whatever, like to ask them for things. Like that's just not something I've ever really been good at generally. So people are fine just being like, oh, totally, but we have people drop in who like you were visiting in town or whatever. And are just like, yeah, no, I love, or like they like the podcast I do or whatever. And they're like, oh, I love the show. I wanted to come check it out, And I'm sure they're always like, wow, so this is what New York comedy is like. Cause there's like 6 people there, or we're just like excited that somebody showed up. But I didn't really do too much in terms of like trying to be creative about promotion. So part of that is just like, I mean, I have a job, like I'm busy, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what the right thing to do is. I'm not going to like, hand out flyers or something, you know what I mean?
And it feels like disingenuous to like self-promotion hurts souls. Like it's just not, it's hard. It's hard to be like, come to this thing, take time out of your lives, even though it's like, it's just weird to do for some people. It is for me. And so I kind of know what you mean.
I mean, I wish I was better at it for sure. I wish I could just shut off like this sort of shame part of my brain, but I'm just not capable of doing that.
Yeah.
And it's also like a self-fulfilling thing where the show's not like, it's not like, you know, the crazy shows at like Lucky Jack's or whatever, you know, whatever, another bar in New York that had always had like a big crowd downstairs. So like the idea of going really hard to promote it and then people like finally taking you up on it and then like there's still being nobody there, you know what I mean? Them being the 7th and 8th people instead of the, you know, 25th and 26th is like,
right.
Yeah, well, here it is. You know, we said it was gonna be great. And the thing is, we always had, we never it was always a really well booked show because we booked people that we liked and thought were funny. It wasn't like we booked duds. It was just that nobody went to the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing to do with the quality of the content, you know, on stage. It was just the entirely our fault. Or entirely, I'll take the blame for it. It's fine.
You did book me more than once. That's never a good sign for a show. I'm the Black Death to stand up. If there was a statistic for bar shows canceled, or bar shows like, I mean, people don't know, like our show could not happen.
Right.
Like in New York, that there's been many times where there's like, nobody's here, so we won't do the show now. I bet you in my 5-year stint, I had more cancellations of shows than any other comic that's ever walked through those streets. I guarantee it.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know if that's tracked anywhere, but
it's not. I wish it was, because it'd be my only stat.
That's a credit. You put that after you put that in parentheses after your name.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody is harder on anybody than you are on yourself, in my experience. So I think you might be exaggerating a little bit, but no, I mean, that's true. I mean, we had a few that didn't go off like that. That always felt bad. That was when I would feel bad because people would like take the train in from like, you know, I don't know, Crown Heights or whatever, you know, and it's like, yeah, I had to take, you know, whatever. I finally got here and it's like, nobody showed up. So we're just going to, I don't know, I'll buy you a beer. You know, I don't drink.
Well, that's the thing.
Okay. Well,
those actually turned out being my favorite shows because the pressure of bombing leaves and you just get to hang with the boys, hang with some comics. And it's way more fun than hanging with regular people. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, because you get that worm in your brain where all you want to do is like try to top whatever people are saying, and regular people hate that in conversation. So
yeah,
that is definitely true.
But you went to Georgetown. That was the college that you and Joe Garrix went. And
that's right.
Comedy didn't really start for you there, and we'll get to golf. People, shut up, shut up. Okay, golf's around the corner.
Yeah.
But comedy didn't start in college, but you did tweet. You were like, at least on Facebook, like that's how Joe recognized you. But when did the Twitter thing? When did you start like figuring out that part of your brain?
Oh, I mean, I graduated college a few years before Twitter even existed, so I wasn't doing any of that then. Facebook started. I mean, this is how old I am. I was a junior in college when Facebook started, so. We were one of like the first 15 schools or whatever. So that was when it was like,
Georgetown. That's like up there. That's like,
I don't know how we made it onto that initial. We were on like the second
Zuckerberg.
tier.
You were just, you're Ivy, right? You're Ivy League.
No.
Oh, you're close though. Adjacent at least.
I don't know. I think it's
Georgetown's
like
top dog.
I think it's, if you're ranking schools, I think it's like a top 25 or something. I don't know, but
dude.
But what I mean, but anyway, you know. So social media was not really, I mean, I wish I'd figured out that I liked doing this when I was in college, because I could have like reoriented my life plan a little bit, maybe. Not that I would have like stopped, you know, not that I would have like gone into like doing stand-up, you know, right after college or whatever, but just like, yeah, I could have like tried it, you know, when I was in the city, when I was 22, as opposed to, you know, when I was, you know, 9 years later, whenever I started. Yeah, I don't know. I think I just was bored at work or whatever, and I started messing around on Twitter, you know, and I think I think I cleaned up a bunch of my old stuff, like got rid of a bunch of my old stuff, just like blanket everything prior to a certain year is gone because it was just like embarrassing, like commenting on watching like a baseball game, like level, you know, true normie stuff, which is fine, you know, whatever. But, And then I don't know what year it would have been, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't even tell you, like, if I could, I don't even know how I would like characterize what, but I just started, I don't know. You go through phases of different kinds of styles of performance on that kind of stuff. And so early on, it was very kind of like joke heavy, and now, I don't know what I even do now, but it was probably just the political stuff, honestly, which is like, kind of boring and not boring, but like kind of hacky now anyway. Like, everyone thinks they're a political comedian now, so it's kind of like its own thing. But I guess that's probably what led to whatever. And like I said, it's done so much for me. It's so great. I have to like keep it very siloed off from like work and that kind of stuff.
Do you really? You have to keep a separate? Is there any like stress or fear that the worlds collide?
I don't think so. I mean, I hope not. No, it's not. I don't do anything bad on there. It's more just like, I would prefer to keep that stuff separate for now because it's not really as professional, quote unquote. And it's more like the comedy. It's more like the comedy stuff. It's not the.
And then your podcast, "What a Time to Be Alive," that you host with Kath Barbadaro. That's how you say her last name, right?
Barbadaro, close enough.
Barbadaro and Eli Uden. That's political too. So. But news,
less
right?
so. Yeah, I mean, we earlier on, I think we were, because I think everybody was like, 17 is when we started, and like end of 17, or was it 18? Jesus, I can't remember anymore. This pandemic has like completely destroyed my conception of time. I have no sense of, but yeah. We've definitely over time like kind of stayed away from like whatever the big stuff in the news was, and we just do like local news, like a guy escapes from or a pig escapes from the zoo, or or what all that kind of dumb stuff.
Who vets the stories, or do you all kind of come with some stuff?
Yeah, we have people can submit stuff in a couple different ways, so we kind of go through those, and then I keep track of stuff I happen to see, and we'll dump it into we have like a chat thing on Discord or whatever that we just go through there. So yeah.
Can I ask you a personal question, kind of? Well, not personal for me, personal for my native land, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
How many stories involve Pennsylvania man? I feel like Pennsylvania people are crushing the news cycle.
Yeah, I think you're definitely top tier along with Ohio and Florida.
Oh man, it's up we're in the 3 that we're like top
I don't know
5,
I don't know if that's the extent of the top tier, but definitely. I mean, but the thing about that is, everyone makes fun of that, like the Florida man thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, first of all, those 3 are very big states, so that's one thing. So it's just in terms of like number of people, it's like how all the state schools in those schools are all good. It's because they have such a big pool to draw from.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, like in Florida in particular, like the reason all these Florida man stories come out is because like mugshots are public. So like there's like a public shaming element to like when people get arrested. So it's actually
that's not the same for other states. I didn't even know that.
I don't think so. There's something about Florida in particular that like they just that information is just much more available to like local media, and obviously the culture then builds around that of like reporting on that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I mean, we've tried to shy away from if it seems like somebody's like having like so wow, that person's acting crazy. It's like, well, are they like a homeless person, or are they somebody with like clear undiagnosed mental problems or on drugs or whatever, So we won't necessarily do that kind of thing.
I feel like that's more common in Florida, but I'll admit that Pennsylvania people, less crazy, less mental illness, more very dumb, making doing things not, making mistakes. Classic old-fashioned mistakes, Patty.
Falling through a ceiling of a place they're trying to break into or something.
Or like rioting on Capitol Hill and being a cop and having your badge on. It's like, that was a bad decision, wasn't it?
Classic blooper. The attempting to overthrow the government while wearing readily identifiable clothing. Yeah, that's not.
Well, the best one was the dude. Did you see the? I don't want to. You probably did this. I know I'm late to the party, but there was a kid that went to he broke into the Capitol and he had his work badge on. He still was wearing he was like, I don't know if he was like he was on lunch break or something and did a little rioting.
Yeah, he worked for some like
Salad Works.
Yeah, like DC area. He was at like I think it was like a logistics company or like an IT company or something. I forget what. Yeah. And he probably indirectly works, if he's like an IT company in DC, they probably work with the government or whatever. But like, yeah, just take off the lanyard, dude. It's not that's not even that hard. I mean, obviously these people did not think anything was going to happen to them, because if you did, you wouldn't be streaming it on your Parlor or wherever whatever.
It'll be like that with the phone.
But yeah, and that's like don't make it that easy. People are going to I mean, every one of these people have, if you're a guy over a certain age, your ex-wife is going to dime you out. That's exactly what happened to a few of these people. Having family court problems is like the number one predictor of this kind of behavior. It seems like it's like, well, if that judge hadn't taken the kids, I wouldn't be, whatever.
Right.
And it's like, hey man, you're kind of retroactively justifying the decision of the judge by,
true.
But yeah, Pennsylvania, man, you guys are leaders, national leaders in a few ways, I guess.
Well, you got to take a win where you can get a win these days. But so the political stuff on Twitter definitely helped you grow, because your account is at like 180,000 people.
No, you're 100, a little over 150, and it's kind of plateaued. I think I've found the outer cap of people who have any interest in what I have to say. So that's fine. It's been like that for a while. No,
you're like what is it? Dogecoin. You're gonna go to the moon.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's fine. I don't. Obviously, everyone who's on social media in a certain way is a freak who's constantly evaluating different metrics, and they need the approval and stuff. But it's fine. Among other things, I got a girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, that's going well. I have things in my life that are fulfilling that are not necessarily posts, so that's fine.
Where do you rank like stand up? Like, what's like? Do you get a similar feeling over like a social media? Because your social media following, there's like energy. Like if I tweet something, if I get 3 or 4 people to be like, yeah, I'm like, all right, but there's no like day-long surge of things. You'll feel a little bit of that, but also, does that compare to like instant gratification of a joke landing on stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, stand-up has always been like there's a mix of like you have to like balance the benefits of it going well with like the nerves. I still used to get nervous before I got. I mean, I haven't gone on stage in person in a long time, but the last time I did anything was like a Zoom thing, in like last May or something like that. It was with Joe Garrick, actually. Because there just isn't stuff, I've done a couple live comedy things, but they haven't been like stand up. So like I haven't written anything in like a year and a half. And the last time before that I was going regularly was when Karma ended, and that was August of 2019. So it's amazing how it feels like it's been 100 years. But so that's the thing. I mean, like when you can post on the computer or on your phone or whatever, you don't have to like. I don't get nervous about it. You know what I mean? So like the endorphin thing is like kind of free of that, stuff. But stage is probably better. Like having a really good set is fun and it's rewarding. Because it's harder work than just like thinking up stuff to write, on your phone or whatever.
And what about? And this is the last social media question, because I'm more quizzing you. I'm more trying to pick your brain. I do a lot of.
I'm sure people love this. The golf people are like, "What are these guys talking about?"
Nobody listens to this. There's 0 people listening to this. You are listening.
Well, I'm listening right now, so I'm enjoying.
I do a lot of tweet and delete.
Okay.
I regularly tweet and delete. That's like probably every 3rd tweet. I'm like, no. Is that something that because you have such a big account, when you tweet something, at least 1,000 people will see it that second. So deleting it, people will know. I could tweet something super offensive and nobody will know for a week. So, but for you, it's the tweet and delete. It's got to be like it's a harder thing.
I don't really do it. Generally, I will if there's a typo and I have to fix it. And I usually get roasted because enough people will see it. Because if you're looking at like the timeline or whatever, it doesn't like take it out of the feed, so people will see it, and they just can't interact with it because it'll say it was deleted, and then they'll see it. And sometimes, and if they notice that, clever people will screenshot it and then, or respond with what the typo was to the new one or whatever, and that's fine. So that's the only time I think of where it's like, I know there are people that are like real kind of like clout shark types. Maybe not so much anymore, but there were in the what I'll call the old days, like 4 or 5 years ago, that would like if it's not taking off right away, they'll delete it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That kind of thing. Like the
the
kind of like guys who used to delete all their replies because they wanted a clean feed, like they didn't want to so they didn't want to have anything where they're replying to anyone else. And that's, I guess, in case Lorne Michaels gets a printout of their feed and wants to read it. Right. I don't know what the motivation for that is, but
because I mean, that's what Lorne noted. He has done that. He prints out Twitter feeds and puts them on a bulletin board, and I like that one. So
judging by the number of people who have been hired by SNL that have gotten in trouble for bad posts that weren't deleted after they got hired, he clearly cares a lot about social media. And
he vets your social media for sure,
very, very, very carefully. But I, so I don't really do that. I have gotten softer, and I've kind of become aware that like people who make stuff or whatever, like they're on social media too. So like, I try not to be too mean at like bagging on stuff. Like if it's somebody like made something and it's just not good, I'm not like a movie or something like that. You know what I mean? I try not to be like, cause who knows, you never know who and it's like, I don't need somebody, ever to see like everyone dunking, you know what I mean? Unless it's I don't know. So I try to, if I do that and I realize or something's going in a direction I don't like, if people are taking it a certain way, maybe I'll consider kind of deleting that out of like just kind of like being a wimp, that kind of thing.
No, I think
not want to hurt somebody's feelings or that kind of thing, I guess. Well, but
there is no edit button on Twitter, which
correct
is the only one. Don't you have enough pool in the biz to get something like that on there? I need an edit button.
I strongly disagree with the edit button being a thing.
You don't want an edit button on it?
That's a bad idea because
but what about I make spelling errors and like a lot of them?
But I can immediately think of ways that it would be used by people. Like you post something that's really popular and or whatever, or that somebody quote tweets to try to dunk on you or something or whatever, and then you just change whatever it is to Hitler was right or something. You know what I mean? Like whatever. And they'd be like, why did you like this? Well, that's weird. And it's like, well, no, it didn't say that when I did. Like it's
that's true. I've done that on Facebook. I've said happy birthday Nana, got 100 likes, and then changed it to here's my stand-up set from this is my last live set. And people it makes it look like people liked it. They're just kind of loving on my Nana. But
when you have that mindset, of how can I like fuck with people using this thing, you realize that the edit button is not. It seems like it could be used in a way that is.
You're right. Okay.
It's like the blockchain. You were talking about the Dogecoin or whatever. Once it's out there, and no one can change it. And then if they want to do it, they can they can repost it or whatever. But they have to, it's. I don't know. It's just. I think it makes sense this way.
I get you. I'm with you. It's wild though, like because I got into a conversation with my brother. I think he sent me somebody tweeted something like political, and he's like. He was against whatever that person said, or somebody said something super crazy. And I don't think whoever I forget, it's a bad example because I don't remember exactly what it is, but I'm like, yo, do you know how quickly I can make that person say whatever on Twitter, whatever I decide they say? Cause there's like a tweet generator where I take their picture. I can make it look verified. I can do everything the same and just make them. That's what's scary to me.
Yeah, screenshots. You can. There's also a way to do it in Chrome or different browsers where you go inspect element. If you right click on if you pull up the page that has the tweet on it, you can inspect element, and then you go into like the HTML it'll pop up in a window on the right side of the Chrome window, and you can edit the text, and it will show up like literally looking like with the same timestamp and everything, or you can change the timestamp. So like people would do that with like Trump tweets and stuff. Like clearly fake, but like the problem is that there are lots of people that are like have no ability to discern what's obviously fake and what's not.
Right.
And so you'll get I can't believe the president is talking about I don't know, Rick and Morty, or pick something stupid that obviously is not real, and or make it so long that it couldn't possibly fit into one that's more than 240 characters or 280 characters, whatever it is. Like, and people will still be like, wow, that's messed up, or you're just like, wow, okay, so I had to stop doing that because that was not fun.
Right. And because it could be done very quickly. And then you could throw it out there, and then the damage is done by the time somebody's like, hey, this is fake, the damage is already done. That person saw it, believed it, told somebody else, and it's gone.
Right. And even if it's harmless and obviously fake, it's like, and I don't know that that's necessarily something that people have to feel responsible for, but like the continued destabilization of like what reality is kind of like a, and like everyone was worried about deep fakes when those like first seemed like they were going to be doing like fake videos of stuff or fake audio. And it's like, we don't need that. Like you just put a news story with a fake headline and like people just like take that. They don't even have to see the video or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So it's already bad enough. So that's something that I've definitely like, again, the edit button, that'll at least be done by the person who made the post, but like there's enough out there that makes it so I don't know. And that's maybe why people shouldn't be, people got to be careful about screenshots and stuff. I don't really see as much of that anymore. At least I haven't noticed as much of that anymore.
I just started doing it. Like I did it a lot during the holidays. I'm just getting in on it. You are from Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Born and raised. So you're somebody that I would feel is like country club kind of guy. You're like Connecticut, Georgetown, but you're not like a country club guy, right? Did you grow up playing golf?
Yeah, so I I didn't come from like Connecticut obviously has a very waspy connotation, and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really come from that background. My parents are not those kind of people. But my dad worked in finance and stuff. So, we were obviously very comfortable and all that, but it wasn't like, we're not that kind of that kind of type of, we're not really comfortable in those kind of settings. My dad belonged to a golf club, which wasn't really a country club. They had like a dining room for like, we would go for Easter brunch or whatever. But like in terms of like going and like all summer sending the kids up there to like go do, whatever you do at country clubs, like that, it wasn't that kind of place. That one even had a pool, for instance. They might have built one like after I went to college or something, but like, it was about 20 minutes away, and like he would go up there to play golf, and that's why he and like the people that he was like friends with up there liked it, because it wasn't like a whole social scene around kind of like the phonies shaking hands and all that kind of shit. It was like people went there to play golf. He had like he and like some other guys had like a whole like I don't want to say gambling ring, because that sounds like weird. And
they had their game. They had their game.
They had like and there were a bunch of guys that were in that, and that was like their thing. So yeah, and he wanted to get me. He didn't start playing golf till he was like, I think maybe even my age now, maybe older. So he wanted to get me into it early because it's something that he really enjoyed, and he was actually pretty good. So he got me some lessons and stuff. So I didn't play a ton. I didn't like play on a high school team or anything like that. But I know my way around a golf. I know how to behave. I know how my swing is supposed to be. It doesn't usually turn out that way. I'm better than I used to be, even though I play very infrequently, because I got taller and stronger. When I was like in high school, I was like, I don't know, 5'4", 5'5", and I was like miserable because I was like, when am I gonna get bigger? Now I'm like average height, 5'9" or whatever. So it's like, now I don't think about that kind of stuff the same way. So maybe I don't have that baggage too about like, I'm not driving it as far as I should be or whatever. But I can do okay. I played with my dad a couple years ago. I think probably was the last time when I go down to visit a lot, and I haven't since this all started. They're in Florida now. But we went to like I don't want to say it's a par 3, but it's like a public course, ish. That's like, he doesn't belong. He belongs to a place. Does he belong to a place now? I don't know if he does, but anyway. And it was fun, and I think my best hole was probably a par on like a par 3. Maybe I had a shot at a birdie and I blew the putt, that kind of thing, but that's about it. That's pretty much the best I'm going to do. So
you never got like the bug growing up. It wasn't he despite his efforts.
I mean, like I said, I did do lessons, and I got, I got decent, but yeah, I mean, I had clubs. It was just the part of it was like, I never really loved getting up early. So that was like so like getting up Saturday at like 6 a.m. to go up to, drive up to, what town was it, like Stratford or whatever, to go play was not really my, something I wanted to do. I wanted to play video games probably. Yeah. And then once I got out of Connecticut and once I was in DC, it was like, it's hard to find a place to play, and you'd have to like keep your clubs in like your dorm room or something. I don't even know how shitty apartments we lived in. So I didn't do that. I'm sure there are people that did play. Georgetown does not have a course. I think the high school has a course or something, but it's like a drive away, so it's not. It was not really doable. I love like Top Golf. You know, what I mean? I've only done that once. I went for like a buddy's bachelor party in Vegas, or somebody's birthday actually. But anyway, that was like a blast because like obviously the most satisfying thing is to drive. You know, anything in the short game makes me want to kill myself, but if I get a good drive, at least it makes me feel a little better. Yeah, it was just not really. And then living in New York, obviously, it's a whole pain in the ass too.
It's a nightmare. I think Top Golf to real golf is like Twitter to doing a stand-up set. It's like it's enough of a thing, you know. It's like you get the rush, but you also don't get the misery because it's all fun. Top Golf is all. There's no bad shots in Top Golf.
There are, but you just put another ball down.
You just throw another ball down. You don't have to walk to find it and be like, hit it out of a harder place. Right. That's the whole bullshit about real golf. It's like if you hit it bad, that sucks, but then you got to find it and then hit it from that bad area again. Top Golf's like throw another ball up there. Let's have fun.
Yeah. I mean, I used to want to
get some wings over here.
Yeah, I mean, I used to want to quit a lot when I was playing with my dad when I was like in high school because it would just be like I'm not whatever, you know what I mean? I just like let's just go to the next hole. I don't care, you know what I mean? And he's like he was trying to like instill like no, you got to like try to finish it out in me, and
well, that's been a common
I'll
theme.
Take the 7. I don't care, you know what I mean? Like it's like let's go.
Yeah, that's been a common theme when I talk to people, no matter what like ability level or how much they play. The father-son relationship with golf is very interesting. It's always like and maybe one day if I have kids or we'll learn, but like it's never just a chill. I've never heard a chill story like between somebody. But yeah, me and my dad played golf. It was all cool. We didn't really argue ever. I've never heard that one time.
We got along fine, and we actually had a lot of fun the last time we played. So I mean, hopefully, he still plays every so often. It's one of the few things they can do down there. It's relatively safe, although thank God they got the first shot like last week, so that's a relief, and that'll be better. But he's 80 now, so he gets tired a little easier and stuff like that. Obviously, he's got, his hands, some stuff. So like it's hard, arthritis or whatever. So it's hard to grip the club and stuff. But he still plays, and the thing that everybody always says is like, wow, you're like kind of I don't want to say better than I expected, but like the thing he always used to say he was everybody used to tell him he was sneaky long. He could like hit the ball way further than I kind of expected. It was like not something that so yeah, he used to be really good, and he's still, I think for his age and for his sort of frequency of playing, I think he's still probably pretty good. So hopefully I can play again with him sometime soon.
Do you think golf will be something that you get into more as you age?
Maybe. I mean, I thought maybe there would be, it became very clear quickly that I was not in a type of profession. I'm a lawyer, but like I work at like smaller firms, and there's not like that kind of like thing everyone thinks of like going on the golf course and shaking hands and all that kind of bullshit. Not with my experience anyway, and not really with lawyers in general, because especially when you're like a junior person, your job is not to go talk to clients. Your job is to bill 1 million hours and sit in the office or whatever. So it's not. Yeah. But like if I was in finance or whatever, maybe you'd play more, with people. But I think so. I think in the eventual situation where we move to the suburbs or whatever, whenever that happens, if that happens, it's definitely more accessible out there. And I could see that being a once and every so often thing. I still, when it comes up, I'll play. We play, like I've played out in Vegas a couple times at different things, not just Top Golf, actually at courses. Like there have been work events like where we like a work retreat or something where we all played, and that kind of thing makes me nervous because it's like I want to be very clear, like I suck, and then and then there'll be like people who are like bosses who suck way worse, and it's like okay, they literally like don't know what they're doing at all. Okay,
what's the culture like? Can you drink at a work golf outing? Are people like are they like shotgunning beers, or is it kind of like everybody's walking on eggshells? Like, when do we start getting rowdy here?
Yeah, the place I was at had a culture that was very. This is like 12 years ago. It was a very like fun culture, but probably problematic, for the same reason.
Yeah. I mean,
You're going to have problems. If everybody that works there is getting hammered all the time, there's going to be issues.
right.
If
I've
that
seen
firm
Wolf of Wall Street. I know.
right, well, yeah, that firm no longer exists. It may shock you, but no, that had to do with that had to do with the subprime crisis, not with the culture of the firm. But yeah, so that we did. I was probably more. I'm not. I don't know. I don't. I sort of hold back a lot of my personality. I feel like at work because I don't want to. I don't really. I'm not necessarily always as enthusiastic about sharing it as it's not because I have other interests, kind of.
Yeah.
But so just like I'm worried about. Yeah, I don't want to get too like. I don't know.
Do you
I don't want to get too loose.
What happens when people find out about the other side of Patty Mo at work? Like, and have you kept it like your job now or your last job? Is it because if somebody finds out like your online persona is like pretty significant, like it would appear that you're a famous man, right? Like if you're just working next to somebody in an office for 2 years and just think it's this guy, Pat, and then one day you find out he's, Barack Obama follows him on Twitter and he's got 150,000, how do you keep that from people? And what happens when they find out that?
Well, I mean, I don't actively, for a long time I had kind of a plausible deniability because I didn't really do stand up. I didn't really do the podcast and stuff. So I didn't really have to like promote anything as a real person. It was just kind of for the sake of just doing whatever this thing, so I had like a picture that wasn't me or wasn't a person or whatever, that kind of thing. But, it's only this job I have, like people know I do stand up, sort of inadvertently because I told somebody that I didn't think I was going to be working with anymore, not just because of the way and then he ended up he didn't know it was a secret type thing, or not. I never told him it was a secret, not that it was a secret, but you know what I mean?
Right.
So the word kind of got out and like some people went to shows and then you get like the comments at work. They're like, you should use this in your, and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Which is fine. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They went to like a couple people went to one show. Justin Flanagan was on the lineup and he like went off on them, not in a mean way, but just kind of, and I think they had enough after that just from, it was very funny. They didn't go back, which is fine. That's easier. It's
not a thing they're used to, I'm sure.
Right. And I don't want to be responsible for what other people say at a show to people that I work with or whatever. So that was fine. They had a good time, I think, whatever. But yeah, otherwise I don't know. I mean, I think I'm allowed to do both. I don't think anybody would say, I certainly don't say anything on any of the stuff I do that would like impact anything I do, at work. I don't talk about anything specifically. I keep it very general, and that kind of thing. So I don't think anybody could say with a straight face that it's impacting it in any way,
Yeah. But do you feel like, because once that cat's out of the bag, and I know this for my own thing, like once that cat's out of the bag, it doesn't go back in. Like you're who you are at work changes immediately. Like when, and then, so are you trying to keep, like you mentioned, it was a secret. Did you try to keep it like from them?
It's too late now. I mean, but it's,
because of this podcast is what you're saying. It's out there now. Now that on Teed Up,
like, I mean, they knew like not too long after I started where I am, but it's, I think I kind of overcorrect and I kind of come across as like a little bit of a dud, and I'm very professional, capital P. And they're probably like, this guy's a comedian. Like, okay, what, you know what I mean? People that haven't, and that's fine. I'm happy to have that be the, because I'm not trying to impress anybody in that context, so it's fine. I'm not trying to I don't feel the need to be the funny guy in the office or whatever. You know what I mean?
They don't pressure do because what I experience sometimes is like people who are expecting a certain thing out of you, and if you don't live up to that expectation, you're either like a dick or they're like, he's not funny at all. And then they'll say that, like people will say that to me, to my face. But so it's like this weird, like pressure. And like, if you don't, when I first started, I would tell people I'm a stand-up. Like, I do stand-up. But now I'm like, I sell golf clubs at a place. And like, I keep that as far away because the expectations change, right? Do you feel that? You feel that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine throwing cold water on the idea that I'm like some, wild character or whatever. That's fine with me. You know what I mean? Like I'm fine with them being disappointed or thinking I'm not funny, thinking I must really suck on stage or whatever. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like that's fine. I don't need any, because like I said, I don't want the two to be mixed at all if I can avoid it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you were saying like, I'm losing track of my thought here. Oh yeah, like letting people know right away. I definitely did not affirmatively tell anybody. I was at a job that was like ending, like the office was closing, and that's when I started doing stand up. And so I told a guy that I was working with in the office that was closing, and so it was like sort of like, what the hell, like I'm doing this thing, and it's kind of whatever. And then he ended up coming to work with us at the place I'm at now. So like that's how I kind of
you saw him walk in, and you're like, God damn it.
Well, I didn't even, and it's nobody, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like it's not impacting anything.
You're not like a criminal. You're not like
right, exactly.
Crack cocaine.
I sell drugs, man. That's
Don't tell the boss.
But I mean, I know people that I'm glad I didn't have I mean, this is just sort of in keeping with my failure to be self-promotional. But like, I remember Brian Yang, who we both know, and I did a show, and a couple other people, but a friend of mine. Who's not a comedy person, but like her office was having like a comedy thing as part of like a work, retreat, not a retreat, like at the office, like a bonding thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, where they had like a happy hour. So they had like, people had like buckets of beers and people could like watch stand up or whatever. And I think maybe they were raising money for something or something. But so she's like, do you want to like grab a couple comics and like we can do this thing? And I'll put you in touch with the guy who's like booking it. And I said, sure. And this dude, like, he he had just started doing stand-up. So he insisted on hosting the show. And it's like, do you really want to get up in front of people that you work with? And you do, because you probably think you're really funny. You know, I mean, if you're a certain kind of person and you believe in yourself in a way that I don't, that you think, oh, it's gonna go great, And he went up there and like you can imagine how it went. You know what I mean? None of us had really particularly good sets, because it's like weird to be standing in front of a
you're up against it to begin with, even with like
you're in like a conference room and the sun is still out and people are like sitting next to their boss and they have like a beer, and so like I don't have the kind of somebody who's like extra kind of like clubby or, raunchy or whatever could probably like actually do a pretty good job of like loosening people up. And that's not really my specialty. Right. And this guy was obviously not like priming the pump, because he was like doing jokes about The Office or whatever, as part of his thing. And it's like, oh my God, like, how do you go back to work after that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on Monday, you're just like, oh, hey guys, what's going on? It's like, oh boy. Yeah. All right.
I had a guy,
I kept it very close to the vest for a long time, for as much as I could.
That's the way to do it. I did a corporate thing one time, and it was like in Baltimore. It was like this solar energy company. Like they put solar panels. So, and it was like it was like a Utah company. So the C-level people, all the like corporate people were Mormon.
Oh yeah.
And everybody else, all the laborers like were not. So there was like 500 people there. 40 of them were like the C-suite people sitting in the front, and everybody else was like blue collar laborers. Yeah. And the guy that booked me was like, I want to do stand up. I'm going to open up for you. I'm like, do you do stand up? He's like, nah, I've been writing some stuff. I'm like, all right, it's probably not the time to do that, but you're paying me. So whatever you want to do.
Right.
And I'm like, he's running stuff by me. He's like, I'm going to say this. And it was all just shitting on the CEO, like some Mormon guy. So I'm like, don't say that stuff. Don't do it. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm like, oh, okay. So he does it, and it goes so bad. Like the laborers, everybody else is laughing. They're hooting and hollering, and that's making the CEO even more mad.
Right.
And they're not laughing at all. Like nothing. They're mad. You can tell they're mad. And then, so he's done, and he brings me up in the most awkward way. And it was just like, I just saw a dude get fired right in front of him. Like, he's getting fired now.
Right.
And he knew it. He knew it too. And he did.
It's like, anyway, here's Tyler. And he's like trying to like fumbling with the mic, trying to like give you the mic. Right?
Meanwhile, there's like a company-wide like insurrection going on. Everybody's, there's a divide between the CEO and his people and the rest of the people. They're fighting. Bad time. And it was like a casino night. So and then everybody has all these like chips and everything. Oh, it's just it was an insane.
Right, because people don't just go, they don't just go home after that. Like they have like something they have to do. It's part of like the day's events. Yeah.
Like, all right, now we're all playing blackjack. Remember your bets. You can win time off. You could win paid vacation. But do you know there's a lot of overlap between stand-up and golf? A lot of, and I think it does have to do with the scheduling. Because if we would ever make it where we're doing comedy shows around the country at nighttime, there would be time during the day. So Noah Savage was on, Pete Matino, JP McDade, they're all Tommy Pope. They're all like, I think you get to a certain point, like notoriously like Nate Bargatze is a big golfer. I think Tom Segura and those guys. So it is kind of like, it does the worlds do collide a little bit, it's just they're so, that's kind of what I want to do. It's like golf. And growing up in Connecticut, and where I came, I'm sure you know the type. It like gets so stuffy, and like I don't like that kind of shit. Like my shirt's not going to be tucked in. Like I don't want, I might not wear golf shoes. So that's like in comedy kind of helps. I think it's helping introduce different people to the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there is a like cultural thing with golf where like. There are certain types of people that think like, oh, I love comedy. I can take a joke or whatever. And then the second somebody like makes a joke they don't like, they're like super pissed off or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like those shows at like golf clubs are traps for that kind of stuff. But like, if I didn't have anything to do during the day and I could do whatever I wanted, and I was in a position to do it. Yeah. I think I'd probably go to the range at least and kind of try to start, honing stuff again before I start like full on playing rounds again. Cause there's nothing more frustrating than just like haven't played in a while. And that's why I expected I was going to suck when I played with my dad that time. Cause it had been like, at least a year. And I thought I was just going to like top every single ball because I just, like that's the thing I always have a problem with. Is like, I don't keep my head down until it's, until it's like through the swing. And but
it didn't go that bad, right? You were better than you thought.
Yeah. So, you get some reps in, you get a little bit better. Maybe you go out. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. It's a, like I said, golf is fun, it's an expensive hobby, unless you rent clubs, but that's expensive in and of itself. But it's,
all in, it's probably more.
But it's, like I said, I hope someday I'm kind of more, maybe able to get more back into it and definitely play with my dad, hopefully sometime soon. But it's, I have friends that, the friends that have moved back to kind of where we grew up, after living in New York or whatever. And, they definitely play and they belong to whatever,
it's shit, like our generation, like the 30-year-olds, like our golf is, and I don't know if this happened to our parents. I guess it did. Cause your dad started playing around your, like 25 or I guess that does happen but I feel like there's like this weird cultural thing with golf now. Like Instagram has made it popular because memes have made it popular. Maybe that's just what's getting fed to me.
That could be. Yeah, that might be a self-selection thing. But I think with anything, it's like you have, people who would otherwise have no interest in something see something on TikTok or whatever. I don't know. I'm 38. I have no fucking idea. But
do you know TikTok?
I don't have. I tried to get an account with my username that I have on everything. But I couldn't get it. It was already gone. Some like lady in Italy had it. So like, I'm already like, I hope it just goes away. So I don't have to deal with like, if I ever have to actually be on it for like a professional quote unquote reason, I don't want to have to use a different username that would stress me out. I got lucky with Snapchat. Never took off, in the same way.
TikTok, it's a cesspool, man. You're not missing.
It's fun. The app is annoying because I don't like that you can't have the sound not on when you turn it on. So you can't like open it without it blasting you with something, which is irritating. I understand that it's like it started as like a music based thing, right? Wasn't it like in China it was like Musically or something, and then it became TikTok. So I understand that's the reason, but I also feel like it's like I don't want to like open it up and I'm like sitting next to my girlfriend in bed or whatever, and she's reading a book, and all of a sudden it's like some loud ass song or something. It's like it's like a running dog, but for whatever reason they're playing, whatever
some random song, or worse, it could be the sounds could be as graphic as
That's
it
true
gets.
too. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah. But like I said, I'm not really super involved in that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think there are probably kids who are like super into, and who know, like maybe golf fashion is going to make a comeback, like the Payne Stewart style,
That'd be cool.
That'll just be cool again. I don't know.
I don't know if it'd be cool, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know if you remember this stuff. You might be too young, actually. I don't know. But do you remember Life Forms T-shirts? They were like, they had like, there was a lot of like frogs and alligators, and they had sunglasses on, kind of on the back of the shirt.
Kinda, yeah.
The front of the shirt was like a whale tail. It was like conservation kind of theme, but it was like, it was like a very like mid '90s kind of. I posted some of those on Twitter last night because I saw that I was wearing one of those T-shirts in an old picture my mom sent me, and I was like, oh man, I totally forgot about this entire like. And obviously none of that shit would fit me anymore, but I get sad thinking about all like the Massimo T-shirts with like the graphics on them and like all that stuff that I had when I was like in middle school, early high school, and that's all just gone and like doesn't exist anymore. Like it's not even like not that I don't have it, but like for the most part, like those brands that just don't exist, and like you can like go on like Grailed or like eBay or one of those and like pay like $50 for one of the shirts or whatever, but it's just like. I don't know. I got bummed out, but anyway, everyone thought that was cool, and I'm sure a lot of them are younger than me. So maybe we're going to get some. Life
I was
forms
just thinking about that too, with like Trapper Keepers were so popular when I was like, do kids even? Is that even a company that's exists anymore? Every kid had a Trapper Keeper when I was in school. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Do they still exist? I don't think they still. Maybe they do, but they probably just sell notebooks and stuff. I doubt they like still sell like the full thing with the and all that stuff.
They're probably I think they were owned by Mead.
Yes, they were owned by Mead. I had like I don't know if I did, it was for a very brief amount of time. But I had like the Mead, like the binder where it zipped all the way around, and then you have like
hell yeah.
That was my main thing. In the middle school days. And then I got like regular notebooks when I got to high school.
Did you get any of that nostalgia, like the Bitcoin, like the crypto or the like the Reddit stock stuff? Did you any of that nostalgia, any of those nostalgia purchases for you, like GameStop or?
No, I don't. I don't like to gamble. That's not something that I really think is that fun, because every time I lose money, every time I lose money, I'm like, think about what I could do with that money. Like I like going to play blackjack or like stand by a table and like to like get drinks and like hang out. Like this, it's like golf is the same way. Obviously, golf is a sport, so it's that too. But like, I don't mind spending money to spend time doing something that I kind of like. Right. But I'm not going to start loading up and spending $50 a hand and being like, okay, cool, I'm getting cleaned out here. So like, this idea of like trying to stick it to hedge funds or whatever the GameStop thing was, with everything like that. If you hear about it on the news, like the smart money could not be more in already. Like whatever right. Like so like there were stories in the Times of people that lost like 20 grand or whatever. It's like, yeah, that sucks, man. But also like if you're seeing it on like you see something on CNN and then you go to Reddit and check it out and then decide to dump a bunch of money into it, like guess what?
Yeah, it's too late.
I did not make any buys. I don't have the connection to GameStop that people maybe had because I'm too old. I mean, I bought stuff at GameStop probably when I was in like college or whatever, but like for me it was Electronics Boutique, which then became
oh my god, and became I forgot about Games. That. Yes,
EB Games got bought by GameStop, so it's like the same. It's like the lineage of the company is.
Yeah, I forgot about EB Electronics Boutique.
Yeah, the Electronics Boutique at the Trumbull Mall in Connecticut was shit. And I would go there and like get $3 for a used game that game that I was selling in the back, and then spend triple that to get whatever, or not triple that, 50 times that to get something new. But I mean that's if they were selling EB stock, Electronics Boutique stock, I'd be in, or like Software Etc. There were a couple of the old places, or if there was a way to buy Nature Company stock, that would be a good one too. That's
Nature. I don't even know what that is.
That's like it was like a store where you'd buy like a one of those rain sticks, or like a cool rock that was like carved by like a Hopi, Indian or something.
Yeah, and, the original entertainment. There you go.
Well, it was like a nature themed. I think Discovery Channel stores bought them, But Nature Company was like its own thing. So that's my level of nostalgia. My stuff that I like is all stuff that got bought by somebody else and no longer exists. So I'm not.
It got bought by big media.
If I thought the thing is, I don't care one way or the other about the sticking it to hedge funds and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like I guess that's good, but it sounds like a lot of people that made money on the stuff are shitheads too. So it's kind of like this, whatever. But I am happy about the AMC thing because their stock valuation and they made a lot of money on that. And I like going to the movies. I would like to continue being able to go to the movies when this ends. So I'm happy that AMC cleared a bunch of debt because they were like in deep shit for a while because obviously nobody can go to the movies. So thanks to Reddit for that, I guess. I will say that unironically.
Are you a solo movie guy or do you like to go with a group?
I have been solo a few times, mostly to things that my girlfriend would not go with me to. So what did I see recently? I saw well, not recently, obviously, but I saw Meg by myself, the Meg in the theater. I saw Aquaman by myself, but that's I think because it was like over the holidays or something, so we went separately or something like that. But we had the AMC pass where it's like you pay $20 a month and you can go to as many as you want. So
you really wanted AMC to live because you have time left on that pass.
Well, it's a monthly thing, so they've actually frozen it since the pandemic basically started, since like April or whatever.
Good for them. Good on them.
I'm not saying that I would be willing to pay $20 a month because I don't want to pay, but it's like if it keeps them going, I'm not necessarily opposed to paying like a freeze fee or something. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. Because like I said, I do want to be able to go back and get I miss getting an icy. I miss watching something that sucks. I don't care. It doesn't have to be good.
Getting a big ass popcorn.
I sit in the dark, eat candy,
And then you when stand up comes back, you're gonna obviously are you gonna still run your show? Because the What a Time to Be Alive, you guys did a show over at, I guess it's all in flux now. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of stand up, I'm going to be so kind of rusty and out of it that I don't know if I'm really going to, I'm certainly not going to go to Mike's. I already stopped doing that by the time Karma ended. So that's almost 2 years ago. But I guess I do shows if I got asked. I mean, I'm not going to actively lobby to get, I'll go hang out at stuff maybe, but in terms of doing stand up by myself, I don't think so. But yeah, we'll probably try to do, we kind of had loose plans in place to maybe last year, start looking into maybe going to Philly and doing a show or going to DC where we have people that would want to do do a live show, maybe get a guest or even just us. And that's more us just kind of goofing on something. It's not really stand up per se. We do some stand up shows at Stand Up New York, which we used to be affiliated with them because we kind of started through their podcast stuff. We used them as a studio for the first however long. But it's been a year and a half or a year and change since we were gone from there. But so we ran some stand-up shows through them. And I don't know if maybe that's a possibility, I guess. But I'm not really. I know Kath, my co-host, really wants to get back doing stand-up. I don't know kind of where Eli stands on it. I think I'm probably the least interested in.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had the itch at all.
I mean, I do in the sense that it's fun to kind of, but it's. I think at a certain point, I don't have the compulsion, and I never really did that. The people who are really into it, where they have to get up and talk about something, I like everything around it. I like doing the show. I like being at the show. I like kind of, hanging out in the back of the room. So it's, all that kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily have to I don't know. I think I'd be more of a comedy adjacent person at this point than an active,
something we all should be.
Trying to get an agent, trying to get trying to get JFL, all that stuff. I think that time has passed for me probably, and that's fine.
Well, we all every comedian on earth just submitted for that Jon Stewart thing, and it was the first thing I did comedy wise, since this all started, kind of other than a couple outdoor shows or whatever, and it was man, this is why I don't miss this at all.
Yeah, I mean, that was so funny because a friend who's a writer who actually actually does this stuff, his agent sent it to him, and then he asked if me and a couple of people wanted it, for the hell of it, and I was like, maybe I'll do it, I don't know, and then I kind of made myself do it, but it's because I didn't have that a lot of the times these packets have this if we don't solicit it from you, we're not going to read it. It's because they don't want randos getting it and then sending it in and having to look at it. So they didn't have that limitation. That's why like everyone in the world was doing it. Everyone who ever considered doing comedy was writing this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe I'll get hired in the Jon Stewart thing. You know, I already was like, well, it's not going to work because I'm not in the right frame of mind. And I kind of didn't love what I submitted. And I really only kind of worked on it for like a very short amount of time right before. And I submitted it at like 11:59 is what I think we talked about. But it's, in a way, I'm glad that more people were doing it because it means it's less likely. Like my chances were already very low, and they have gotten in the core of the earth. They're so low. So it doesn't matter how bad the thing I submitted was or how good it was, you know, for that matter. The result's the same. So I'll take that. That's really not a good way to be ambitious or look at your life. I'm happy that.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
It's
like
a
subconsciously,
I'm not going to get it, you know? Right,
yeah. Well, I was like working on it, and I thought that the whole time. Every second I've worked on that thing, I'm like, what am I even doing? But then it was more like, do something. You're sitting in this basement, your whole, you know, you haven't done anything, so you get something done.
It's hard to write for a show that doesn't exist, too. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've done a few packets. I've done some that I thought were pretty good for like shows that already existed, you know, like some of the late night shows and stuff. Nothing came of it, and that's fine. But there are a couple that I've done where it's like basically like, just get a sense of the host's voice and then, you know, try to write some stuff. And it's like, well, I don't know what, like, is this show going to be all politics? Like, you know, like, it's like, obviously, you know, if it's going to be topical, you got to write about Trump, you know, even though it's, you know, impeachment or whatever, you know, and if it's not, they're going to be like, oh, great, more of this stuff. They just think it's going to be daily show or whatever. And so I think I kind of psyched myself out with that too, on top of it. But,
well, they were just like, hey, write whatever you want to see on TV. It's like,
right.
Okay, but Jon Stewart is the guy on TV. What does he want to see on TV?
Right.
What does he want to put on TV?
I mean, sometimes these shows, and I'm not saying this one did because they didn't ask for a lot of stuff. This is actually as far as these packets go, this is about as fair as it gets. It's like, right, as a page of stuff. And, you know, if we like what we see, we'll ask for I'm sure the second round will be more. But I think for a lot of these things, because the Writers Guild has like been pissed off about it, they'll like ask for they'll pay for the second round submissions. So like you get like a couple $100 or whatever for the work you put in, because otherwise it's like, write us a 10-page thing and we don't pay you obviously. And we probably won't be back when you submit it. But I mean, sometimes these things, when they ask for like new desk bits or segments or whatever, it's like, well, I mean, I'm waiving my rights to these things. So are you just like soliciting this stuff to like get an idea for what to, you know, what to do?
Yeah.
But with this, it was very topical, and it was very like, these jokes are going to expire like tomorrow. So obviously they're not using them for anything. So, you know, I thought it was pretty reasonable, but it's more just like, what I want to see on TV, if I'm being perfectly honest, is not this. I want to watch The Good Wife. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to watch late night comedy. It's not, you know, I don't want to watch any of these shows. I'm not going to admit that to anybody. That's not a good way to get hired, but it's like, look, this is I want to write jokes. I don't love this format, but this is like one of the best ways to do it. That's fine. Let's go. You know,
that's what we should have just wrote. Like, what about more NFL football, John? Can you just make the season double the season, John?
I'm going to submit one page of a Good Wife spec, a show that's been off the air for like 6 years. And that's what we're watching right now. We watch like 3 episodes every night. And it's like, this is great. This is like it's like a bath for my brain. I just like sit there and it's like, okay. Yeah. Well, they're in trouble now. You know,
you know what show I got into recently? It's on Netflix. Do you remember Sports Night?
Yeah, sure.
Do you remember that shit? It's on Netflix. I didn't see it then, but I watched all of it now because, like, speaking of nostalgia, I mean, there are shows that are like written for nostalgia purposes, you know, like, but this one, it's nostalgic, but it's not, it's like from then. So like all the sports references are like Hakeem Olajuwon or Shaquille O'Neal's a rookie this year. How's that going to go? It's like, I know how that's going. It went well.
It's going pretty good.
So it's cool. It's a cool like perspective to watch it. So get in on Sports Night.
Yes, but and there's an actor in common. Josh Charles is on both shows. So there you go.
Oh shit! There we go. Look at this. Yeah. My producer. There's nobody over there, but we we usually have the connection.
Yeah, no, I watch we watch a lot of we're running out of them because there aren't that many seasons on these things, and some of them they just haven't made more. But like we watch all the Like we watch like there's a pottery show on HBO Max. It's like the Great Pottery Throwdown. And it's like, like a pottery competition. It's like Bake Off, but for making pots and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a show called Blown. I think it's called Blown Away. I forget now, but it's a glass blowing show. Same type of deal, but it's on Netflix. There's 2 seasons of that on Netflix. There's a show called The Repair Shop on Netflix, which is like British people bring in like an old clock that their great grandfather had that doesn't work anymore, and then they like fix it, on the show. And there's a few things,
nice.
Stuff like that, where it's like we're so far removed, as most people are so far removed. Anybody who works in an office basically or in front of a computer all day, like whatever, they have no sense of like making anything, you know what I mean? Or like really fixing things for people for the most part. A lot of the time it's just pushing paperwork or whatever. So this idea where it's like, oh, I brought in this clock, it didn't work, and now it works, and now it's like something you can pass down to your grandkids, and it's from the 1850s, or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that's very satisfying to watch. I don't do that. I write Word documents all day. It's not the same thing.
That's, dude, I can't make it. I couldn't make anything. I don't know what I couldn't make. I couldn't even make the show about making people making
right.
things.
I mean, you see this dude, he's like digging around in all these watch parts and like, oh, well, here's what has to happen. We have to like plug this hole and then remake it because it's a little bit loose and the gear is moving side to side too much. And that's what stops it from working. So he does it with like this piece of brass. And it's like, this is indistinguishable from magic to me. Like this point.
Yeah. Dude, there's literally right there a dry erase board that's supposed to go on that wall, and I can't hang it. So my brother has to find, he lives a half hour away. It's going to be right there until he comes here to put it on my wall. I don't know how to do it. Fucking drills and like nails and shit. No way, dude. That's not me. I don't know how to do it. I'll probably burn the house down somehow.
Yeah, that's the only things I do where I have a sense of like accomplishment right in front of me are shoveling snow when it snows. So there's like, oh, there's a clear sidewalk, and doing dishes. That's it.
Yeah. Although
the dishes were dirty and now they're clean. So that's
I fired up a snow blower these couple snowstorms. That felt good. It felt good to fire that thing up, man, and
I believe it.
Throw snow. I would always make fun of my neighbors because they get bundled up, big ass gloves, and they can't wait to get out there and start chucking snow, Pat.
Yeah.
And I got out there, and once it felt good.
Yeah.
It feels real good.
I don't think it's not something you really have here in the city, but I prefer it to, I mean, my lower back alone, I think would appreciate the snow blowing. Plus it's very satisfying. That's definitely something I'll invest in if we ever end up in the burbs for sure.
But even like the shoveling, like making that driveway, making that area, clean of snow where it's perfect, no ice, no nothing.
Yeah, you got to get
it must be.
Yeah, you get the heavy hoe thing, and you like have to break up the ice.
Yeah. But you take the time. The time.
Yeah,
take the time now, because if you wait too long, it's gonna be ice, and then it's like in this neighborhood, there's a race for who can have the clean driveway first, and there's judgment passed. They pass judgment.
I mean, it's amazing how like we have this like how people on TikTok rediscovered sea shanties not too long ago, and it's just kind of like, what are we doing as a culture?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? Like, oh yeah, all these old things are actually good, and all this advancement that we've done is actually bad for everyone's mental health. And whoops, but it's whatever.
You wonder, because I've always been pro sea shanty. I've been a sea shanty guy for some time now, and but you wonder what those old fishermen, if you could wake, bring them back to life and show them what's going on. Their shanties are being sung by 16-year-olds on TikTok for millions of views, but nobody gets paid for it.
Right.
What they would think about it. It would probably make them cry. Turn over in their wooden ships that have sunk.
Yeah, I mean, they again, guys with a sense of accomplishment. They brought the whale in. Look, we frown on that now, but back then they needed that fat for candles or whatever. I don't know. They need that ambergris for perfume. That's the real stuff. That's what you need.
They would sing a nice shanty to celebrate their capture. I think
so
that's a perfect way to. What's that?
Since I'm getting back into that, that's what I'm saying. I'm taking
Wait, killing whales? Nice.
No, yeah, killing whales.
I think that's the perfect way to wrap up an episode with I'm not going to say you admitted that, but bringing back sea shanties.
I'm moving to Japan to hunt whales. I think they still do it there. So.
Golf and whale hunting. That's what Patty post moving out of New York City. That's what his activities are going to be, and I'm here for it, Pat. Whenever you need a caddy or there's whatever the caddy version of whale hunting is, I'm there for you. Either way, I hold the. Is it a blow dart situation?
I have to look into it. I have to get on Wikipedia before I can really get super into it.
I'm thinking it's a chum the water and you get a blow dart. I think that's the way. That's the way to do it. So your podcast is out. I mean, I don't know if anybody is going to listen to mine. So if you are listening out there, please listen to Patty Mo's podcast. When do you release the episodes and then Patreon episodes too, right?
Yeah. It comes out on Mondays. So, but anywhere to search What a Time to Be Alive, we're on all the different platforms. So it's an orange cover art with a little white kind of cartoon guy, if that helps. Because there are other things called What a Time to Be Alive, like the Drake and Future album. We are not the Drake and Future album, just for clarity's sake. So
that's it's worth a listen. That's funny that you're competing with that, and also in your personal life. Isn't there a musician named Patrick Monahan?
Yeah, my SEO is a nightmare. We did not do a good job of looking at what we were going to call the show. So we can't really trademark it or anything either, I suppose. But no, yeah, my name, there's not just that, there's the guy who's the singer of Train has the same name as me. So like I have to like commit like some kind of workplace shooting or something to get higher up on the thing. But there's also a comedian from the UK who's like half Irish, half Iranian, and he is more successful as a comedian than I am. So, and that's fine. That's the guy who, when I did the Lehigh Valley,
that's right, they
music fest. The guy, they put his picture on the art. There was like an article about like different comics. There was me and like Blair Saki, and the picture that was a picture of him. I have that still somewhere in my apartment.
Oh, dude, that's great.
As
also,
like
a botched job of the media department, so that's more their fault than anybody.
It was fine. I don't particularly care for how I look, so it actually works out fine for me. And I got to do a funny post about it, so I'll take it. Yeah. Yeah, that was, what was that, 2018? That was the same weekend as Unite the Right in Charlottesville. That was a
that's right. That's right.
That's a weird thing to associate with each other, but that's true. That was a fun weekend. Not Charlottesville. The Lehigh was fun. That's
Well, is that one of those like where were you when? Is that our we've had a lot of where were you when's in our generation. There was like 9/11.
Yep. Trump getting COVID was a good one.
Trump getting COVID. Where you tell your grandkids where you were when Trump got COVID?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I just remember where I was because I was not at home. I think if it was just a normal weekend, I think I would. But because I happened to be there, and I was like, "Well, this is crazy." Gee, I was like in a dorm.
Yeah,
in Lehigh,
I remember being worried about like the shows because there's hardly any security to get into where our shows were. It's like, well, what's stopping people from being maniacs here? And everybody's like, nothing. Like, oh, okay, cool.
I mean, I guess the answer is nobody cares. Nobody cares enough to do anything to anybody, I guess.
At least in stand-up. That's one benefit of stand-up there. Nobody's coming. Not even the bad people.
Yeah, and you just say, hey, I don't like cancel culture either or whatever, and then they leave you alone probably. So it's fine.
All right, Patty. Well, dude, thank you for doing this. This was a lot of fun.
Of course.
Refreshing. I miss you. I miss the city. Too, we're gonna maybe we'll even play some golf when we can see people again.
Yeah, I'd be down. That sounds fun. We can get a comedy foursome going or something.
Yes.
That can be fun. I will definitely be the worst player, to be very clear on this.
Well, we'll make sure JP comes and he will be the worst, and we will live rent free in that kid's head for the entire 18 holes. That's for sure. And I look forward to that. That's something that I have on my calendar at all times. I want to live in his head for rent free forever. All right, man. Thanks for doing this. And we will see you. Check out What a Time to Be Alive. Check out Patty Mo on all social media platforms.